She closed the door on her old life, but it returned seeking answers. The doorbell rang at exactly 9:47 p.m. Maya Thornton hadn't ordered food, wasn't expecting guests, and her husband David was already asleep upstairs in their pristine suburban home. Through the peephole, she saw a woman she hadn't laid eyes on in 17 years, a woman who wasn't supposed to exist anymore, a woman Maya had watched die. The stranger's smile was polite, almost apologetic, but her eyes held something darker, something that made Maya's carefully constructed world tilt on its axis. In her hand, she clutched a worn envelope with Maya's maiden name written in handwriting Maya would recognize anywhere, her own from a lifetime ago. What Maya didn't know was that opening that door would unravel every lie she'd built her life upon. The perfect marriage, the respected career, and a spotless reputation in Riverside Hills, all of it was about to collapse, because some secrets don't stay buried, and some ghosts demand their reckoning. Maya Thornton had mastered the art of perfection. At 39, she was the youngest partner at Silverman & Associates, a prestigious law firm where she specialized in contract disputes. Nothing criminal, nothing messy, nothing that would dredge up uncomfortable questions. Her marriage to David, a cardiovascular surgeon, was the envy of their social circle. They hosted elegant dinner parties, donated to the right charities, and smiled for the camera at fundraisers where tickets cost more than most people's monthly rent. But perfection is exhausting. Every morning, Maya looked in the mirror and practiced her smile before anyone else woke. She rehearsed casual conversations in her head, calculated responses to unexpected questions, and kept mental inventories of every detail in the elaborate fiction she'd constructed. Her real name wasn't Maya Thornton. It was Emma Russo. She wasn't from Connecticut like she'd told David. She was from nowhere anyone wanted to remember, a place where ambition went to suffocate and dreams rotted like forgotten fruit. The night before the knock, Maya had attended a charity gala where she'd been honored for her pro bono work with domestic violence survivors. The irony wasn't lost on her. As she accepted the crystal trophy and delivered her speech about courage and transformation, she felt the familiar hollow ache in her chest, the one that reminded her that she was an imposter playing dress-up in someone else's life. David had squeezed her hand proudly as she returned to their table. "I'm so lucky to have you," he'd whispered. The words had felt like tiny knives. Because David didn't know. He didn't know that his wife had once been someone else entirely, someone desperate, someone dangerous. When Maya finally opened the door that night, her hands were trembling so violently she had to grip the handle to steady herself. The woman on her doorstep was older now, harder on the edges, but unmistakably alive, unmistakably real. "Hello, Emma," she said, using the name Maya had buried 17 years ago. "You're dead," Maya whispered, her voice barely audible over the pounding of her heart. "I was supposed to be," the woman, Rachel Moreno, stepped forward slightly. "Can I come in, or would you prefer to have this conversation where your neighbors can hear?" Maya's mind raced through 1,000 possibilities, each one more terrifying than the last. She thought about slamming the door, calling the police, waking David. But Rachel's presence meant only one thing. The past wasn't dead at all. It had just been waiting. She let Rachel inside. In the kitchen, under the harsh fluorescent lights that David kept meaning to replace with something warmer, the two women faced each other across the granite island. Rachel set the envelope down between them, like evidence at a crime scene. "You left me there," Rachel said quietly. "In that warehouse. You took the money, and you left me to burn." The words hung in the air, accusatory and undeniable. Maya's throat constricted. "You told me to run. You told me to save myself." "I didn't think you'd actually do it." Rachel's laugh was bitter, hollow. "I thought we were friends, sisters even. We'd been through everything together, the streets, the schemes, the survival. And when it mattered most, you chose yourself." Maya's carefully constructed composure began to crack. "The fire! I saw the building explode. I tried to go back, but you didn't," Rachel's voice was steel. "You disappeared, changed your name, built this perfect little life. Meanwhile, I spent 14 months in a burn unit, another 2 years in physical therapy, and 7 years in prison for a crime we both committed."
The truth was a physical weight, pressing down on Maya's chest until she could barely breathe. The warehouse fire had been the final job, the last desperate play that was supposed to set them both free. They'd stolen from the wrong people, a drug cartel's accountant who kept cash reserves in industrial buildings across the city. The plan had been simple: get in, get the money, get out. But someone had set them up. When the explosion came, Maya had been outside, loading the car. Rachel had been trapped inside, and Maya had driven away. "What do you want?" Maya finally asked, her voice small and defeated. Rachel picked up the envelope. "I want what's mine. Half of everything you built with that blood money. Half of this house, half of your bank accounts, half of your perfect life. And if you don't give it to me willingly—" She let the threat hang unfinished. "That envelope contains everything. Police reports, witness statements, photographs. Your husband seems like a good man, honest. I wonder how he'd feel knowing his wife is a thief and a coward." The next 3 weeks were psychological warfare. Rachel moved into a hotel downtown, but inserted herself into Maya's life like a malignant tumor. She'd show up at Maya's favorite coffee shop, sit 2 tables away and watch. She'd drive past Maya's office building at random times, making sure Maya saw her. Once, she came to one of David's hospital fundraisers as a +1 of a donor, her scarred hands visible as she shook David's hand and told him what a remarkable woman his wife was. Maya began to unravel. She couldn't eat, couldn't sleep without waking in cold sweats, the smell of smoke filling her nostrils. At work, she missed deadlines, forgot meetings, snapped at paralegals who didn't deserve her ire. Her senior partner, Gerald Silverman, pulled her aside one afternoon. "Maya, I'm concerned about you. This isn't like you. If something's going on at home—" "Everything's fine," she lied, the words automatic now, meaningless. But everything wasn't fine. David had noticed too. He'd find her staring into space at dinner, unreachable. When he tried to hold her at night, she'd flinch away, her body rigid with guilt and fear. "Talk to me," he pleaded one night. "Whatever it is, we can handle it together." The kindness in his voice nearly broke her. How could she tell him the truth? That their entire relationship was built on lies. That Emma Russo, street kid, con artist, accomplice to armed robbery, had simply put on a costume and played at being Maya Thornton, successful attorney and worthy wife. She couldn't. So instead, she pulled away further, building walls where bridges should have been. Rachel's demands escalated. She wanted $1 million, half of what Maya had stolen and invested over the years. Maya had used that money as seed capital, parlaying it into legitimate wealth through careful investments and her own hard work. But the foundation was rotten, and Rachel knew it. "I don't have liquid assets like that," Maya protested during one of their clandestine meetings in parking garages and empty parks. "Everything's tied up in the house, in retirement accounts." "Then liquidate," Rachel said coldly. "You have 2 weeks, or I go to your husband, and then the police." Maya considered every option. She thought about running again, disappearing into a new identity, starting over somewhere else. But she was tired, so impossibly tired of running, of lying, of being afraid. She thought about going to the police herself, confessing everything, hoping for leniency after 17 years. But that would mean prison. It would mean losing everything. And then, in a moment of desperate clarity, she thought about making Rachel disappear, permanently this time. The thought horrified her even as it took shape. She wasn't a killer.
She'd never wanted anyone to die. The warehouse fire had been an accident, a setup, a tragedy, but not murder. Could she cross that line now? Could she become the monster that Rachel believes she already was? She scheduled a meeting with Rachel for a Friday night at an abandoned industrial park on the outskirts of town, the same kind of place where their friendship had died 17 years ago. She told David she had a late client meeting. She withdrew $50,000 in cash as a down payment, a gesture of good faith to buy more time. But she also bought something else, something she'd never imagined herself holding: a gun. The industrial park was exactly as desolate as Maya had hoped. Rusted machinery cast long shadows under the sleek security lights. Rachel's car was already there when Maya arrived, parked near an old loading dock. Maya got out slowly, the weight of the gun heavy in her purse. Her hands shook as she approached. Rachel emerged from the shadows, arms crossed. "You came alone?" Rachel asked, suspicion evident. "Like you asked. I hold up the envelope of cash. 50,000, the rest will take time to access, without raising red flags with David." Rachel snatched the envelope, thumbed through the bills. "This is a start, but I want the rest within a week, Emma. No more delays." "Stop calling me that," Maya's voice harder than she had intended. "That person doesn't exist anymore." "She never stopped existing," Rachel said. Her eyes glittered in the dim light. "You just pretended she did. But I see her. The scared little girl from the Bronx who'd steal bread from corner stores. The teenager who ran every con in the book just to survive. The woman who left me to burn. That's who you really are." Something inside Maya snapped. All the guilt, the fear, the shame. It crystallized into rage. "You don't know anything about who I am. I've spent 17 years building a life that matters. I've helped people. I've been a good person." "Built on blood money and lies," Rachel shot back. "You're a fraud, and deep down, you know it." Maya's hand moved to her purse, fingers finding the cold metal of the gun. One shot. That's all it would take. Rachel would disappear for real this time. No more threats. No more ghosts. But as her fingers closed around the grip, another thought pierced through the rage. What would killing Rachel make me? The answer was clear, devastating. It would make her everything Rachel accused her of being. It would prove that Emma Russo had never really transformed, at all. She'd just been hiding, waiting for an excuse to revert to type. Maya's hand fell away from the gun. "I can't do this anymore," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "I can't keep running. I can't keep lying, and I can't—" Her voice broke. "I can't become a murderer just to protect a lie." Rachel's expression shifted, confusion replacing certainty. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying you're right. I am a fraud, and I'm done pretending otherwise." Maya pulled out her phone. "I'm calling the police. I'm going to confess everything, the robbery, the fire, leaving you behind, and I'm going to face whatever consequences come." For the first time that night, Rachel looked genuinely shocked. "You're serious?" "I'm exhausted," Maya said simply. "I've been exhausted for 17 years. I thought reinventing myself would bring peace, but it only brought fear. Fear of being discovered, fear of losing everything, fear of becoming the monster I was trying not to be." She dialed 911 with trembling fingers. "I choose truth over terror, even if it costs me everything." Before Maya could press the call button, Rachel grabbed her wrist. "Wait." Maya looked up, expecting another threat, another manipulation, but Rachel's face had transformed. The hardness was gone, replaced by something Maya couldn't quite identify. Regret? Shame? "I lied," Rachel said quietly. "What?" "I lied about coming for revenge, about wanting your money." Rachel released her wrist, reached into her own jacket, and pulled out a badge. "I'm Detective Rachel Moreno, NYPD. I've been undercover in organized crime for the past 8 years. Maya's brain struggled to process the words. "What are you talking about?" "The warehouse fire, it wasn't random. The cartel we stole from, they're still operational, still powerful. We've been building a case against them for years, but we needed someone on the inside, someone they'd trust." Rachel's expression softened. "I didn't burn in that fire, Emma. I faked my death. Let the cartel think I died so I could disappear into a new identity, just like you did, except mine was sanctioned by the federal government." "Then why—" her voice failed her. "Why come here? Why put you through all of this?" Rachel looked away. "Because we needed to know if you'd break. The cartel found out there was a survivor from that warehouse. They've been looking for Emma Russo for 17 years. When we finally tracked you down 6 months ago, we had to test you, see if you'd crack under pressure, see if you'd become a liability." Maya felt like the ground beneath her had dissolved. "You've been watching me for 6 months?" "Every day. Your life, your marriage, your career, all of it checked out. You really did transform yourself. You became someone new, someone good." Rachel's voice cracked slightly. "But I had to know what you'd do if pushed to the edge. If you'd run, if you'd lie, if you'd—" She glanced at Maya's purse, understanding flickering in her eyes. "If you'd kill to protect your new life." The gun. Rachel had known about the gun all along. "You could have stopped me," Maya breathed. "If I'd actually tried to—" "I had backup surrounding this entire area. You were never in real danger. But I needed to see who you really were, Emma. Maya. I needed to know if the scared kid from the Bronx was still running inside you, or if you genuinely changed." Maya's legs gave out. She sank to the cold concrete, her entire body shaking. "And? What did you decide?"
Rachel knelt beside her. "You passed. You chose truth over preservation. You were willing to lose everything rather than become something you're not." She paused. "The cartel's been dismantled. Last week we made the final arrests. You're safe now. Emma Russo is truly dead, not because you killed her, but because you outgrew her." "What happens now?" Maya whispered. "Do I still go to prison for what we did 17 years ago?" Rachel shook her head. "The statute of limitations expired years ago on the robbery charges. And the fire, that was ruled accidental. No one's coming for you, Maya. You're free. Really, truly free." The words should have brought relief. Instead, Maya felt hollow. "I still have to tell David. He deserves to know the truth." "That's your choice to make," Rachel said gently. "But for what it's worth, the woman you've become, she's real. The good you've done, the life you've built, it's not fake just because it was built on a rough foundation. We all have pasts we're not proud of. The question is what we do with our present." The resolution. Maya sat on her front porch steps as dawn broke over Riverside Hills. She'd driven home from the industrial park in a daze, Rachel's words echoing in her mind. Inside, David was probably waking up, reaching for her side of the bed and finding it empty. She'd spent the night drafting a letter, not to the police, but to her husband. The whole truth, laid bare. Every lie, every secret, every moment of fear that had shaped their marriage. She'd written and rewritten it a dozen times, trying to find words adequate to the enormity of her deception. In the end, she'd settled on simple honesty. "David, my name is Emma Russo, and everything you know about me is both a lie and the absolute truth. I need to tell you a story about a girl who made terrible choices, ran for consequences, and tried to become someone worthy of being loved. I don't know if you can forgive me. I don't know if I deserve forgiveness, but I owe you the truth, even if it costs me everything. Especially if it costs me everything." The door opened behind her. David, still in pajamas, sat down beside her with 2 mugs of coffee. He handed her one without speaking, his presence solid and steady as always. I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about, I know. I've known for 3 years. Maya's coffee mug slipped from her fingers, shattering on the concrete steps. What? Gerald Silverman? My college roommate. When you interviewed at the firm, he ran a background check, found some inconsistencies in your early records. He came to me, asked if I knew my girlfriend had changed her name, had a sealed juvenile record. David's voice was calm, measured, his surgeon's voice, the one he used to deliver difficult diagnoses. I hired a private investigator, found out everything. The Bronx, the survival schemes, the warehouse fire. Maya couldn't breathe. And you stayed with me? Married me? I fell in love with Maya Thornton, David said simply. The woman who worked 2 jobs while putting herself through law school, who volunteered at shelters on weekends, who cried at sappy movies and laughed at my terrible jokes. That woman is real, Maya, or Emma, whoever you want to be. The name doesn't matter. Your past doesn't define you. Your choices do. Tears streamed down Maya's face. I was going to tell you. Tonight, I wrote you a letter. I know. I saw it on your desk. David wrapped an arm around her shoulders. You're always so hard on yourself, always thinking you're not good enough, that you're going to be exposed as a fraud. But here's what you don't see. Everyone reinvents themselves. Everyone has a past they're not proud of. The only difference is that your transformation was more dramatic than most.
I left Rachel to die, Maya choked out. I was a coward. You were a scared kid trying to survive, David corrected gently. And according to the detective who came to see me last night, yes, she briefed me after your meeting, you chose honesty over self-preservation when it mattered most. And that's not cowardice. That's courage. Maya turned to look at her husband, really look at him. In the soft morning light, she saw something she'd been too afraid to see before. Unconditional acceptance. Love, without conditions or requirements. The freedom to be imperfect. I don't deserve you, she whispered. Maybe not, but you're stuck with me anyway. For better or worse, remember? I'm pretty sure complicated past involving warehouse fires and identity changes falls under the worse category. Though honestly, compared to some of my surgeries, it's not that bad. Despite everything, Maya laughed. It felt like breaking surface after being underwater too long, gasping, desperate, necessary. What do we do now? David squeezed her shoulder. Now, we go inside, clean up this broken coffee mug, and make breakfast. Then we figure out the rest, together, one day at a time. No more secrets, no more hiding, just us, building something real on a foundation of truth instead of fear. Maya Thornton leaned into her husband's embrace, feeling 17 years of tension finally begin to unravel. The past would always be there. Scars didn't disappear simply because you stopped looking at them. But maybe Rachel had been right. Maybe the woman she'd become wasn't fake just because Emma Russo was her origin story. Maybe transformation wasn't about erasing the past. It was about integrating it, accepting it, and choosing differently going forward. As the sun rose higher, painting riverside hills in shades of gold and amber, Maya Thornton, formerly Emma Russo, finally understood what freedom meant. Not the absence of a past, but the courage to face it. Not perfection, but authenticity. Not running from who she'd been, but walking toward who she wanted to become. And for the first time in 17 years, she wasn't walking alone. Closing. The past doesn't define us, but how we face it does. Maya's journey reminds us that true courage isn't about being fearless. It's about choosing truth even when lies would be easier.
It's about building something real, even on a broken foundation. What do you think? Could you forgive someone who hid their entire past from you? Would you choose truth if it meant losing everything? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want more stories about courage, redemption, and the strength it takes to face your demons, press the like button and subscribe to our channel. And hit that notification bell, because everyone's fighting battles no one else can see. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is simply tell the truth.